Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in. A special thank you to all of our clients and all of our supporters. And in this industry, it's a very interesting, very peculiar situation when you want to talk about accomplishments, because accomplishments aren't necessarily something that you want to talk about. It's something that you would want someone else to talk about, someone else to mention. But in this industry, like I said, it's kind of a unique situation because the goal is to make money not only for yourself but for your clients, your supporters, the people who believe in you. And sometimes you just kind of have to recap, kind of have to cover what has been going on, what you have accomplished, what you've brought to the table, what you've um, figured out, what you predicted. So, with that being said, last card, 8.03 units of profit when Luke Rockhold sunk in that choke, just as I predicted. And I don't know, that was a great night. And then overall in the year, plus 43.22 units of profit. So earlier, very early in the year, I predicted, may have been even 2014, I predicted that 2015 would be my year. And so far, it has been. I'm very happy with it, very excited about the future, and I want to continue doing this for a very, very long time. So let's go ahead and cover these fights. Now, before I dive into the fights, I want to say that you always want to check your local laws and government. Make sure that the state that you live in or the country that you live in, you can make your bets, and Las Vegas, places like that where you can just be nice and comfortable and do as you please. And the second thing is much respect to all the men and women who step into the octagon. And the third thing is that you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose. You don't ever want to get caught speeding or chasing or building yourself such a big hole that it's very difficult to recover from. So yeah, you go about it in a smart way. And here we go. Randa Markos versus Aisling Daly. In Randa Markos, we're getting a very strong wrestler. Once she gets you to the ground, she's going to look to control you. She's going to look to have the dominant position at all times and win rounds. Her jiu-jitsu game has to catch up to her wrestling, and then she would be really dangerous. And her stand-up, of course, she's working on it, but it's not nearly as strong as her wrestling. So what I see her going in here doing is shooting for the takedown, trying to take Daly down. And Daly, we have a scrapper. She's got very good submissions. So if Markos does take her down for 15 minutes, Daly's going to have a chance there. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Randa will take her down in the first, control her, and somewhere in the second round, Markos will perhaps be, disconcentration or some kind of a fubar, and Daly will be able to get a kimura or grab some kind of a submission. And if Daly's able to keep it on the feet, that'll make the fight even that much more interesting. So I see multiple ways for Daly to win this fight, and I'm not super confident in it. So ultimately, it's going to be a do not bet, other than putting it in a small round robin. So it's a do not bet. If I had to bet it, it would definitely be Daly, and I will go with Daly by submission in round 2. The next fight I have been going back and forth on, really. It's Jessica Rakoczy versus Valerie Letourneau. And with Valerie, we know a little bit more. She's less of a mystery than Rakoczy. And with Rakoczy, she's been out for a while now. So for some fighters, that works towards their favors. For others, it does not. For most of them, it does not. And with Rakoczy, we know she's got that good boxing background, good striking, but she needs to work on her takedown defense, and also once it's on the ground, get back up on her feet. So if Valerie's smart, and I'm willing to say that she is. She's been training at American Top Team with Nunes and a good bunch of girls. She would take this fight to the ground and look for a submission. All things being equal, all things being even, Valerie should win this fight. But the weight cut for these girls, moving down from 135 and 125 down to 115 for Valerie, man, it has taken a toll on her. And Jessica, her too. I mean, this is a perfect reason why the UFC should have a 125 weight class. But that'll probably come in the future. But for now, I have to go with Rakosi here. I think Valerie's way too depleted, and I think we won't see the actual Valerie that we saw 135 against Elizabeth Phillips. We'll see a different one here. So I think Rakosi will be able to win this, possibly in the late third, maybe in the third round. But ultimately, I think it'll be a decision. If I had to bet it, it would be Rakosi. It's a do not bet ultimately, other than a small round robin, just a small round robin. But as far as putting a whole unit on it, do not bet. My pick is Rakosi. If I had to bet it, it would be Rakosi, and I'm picking her by decision. Chris Clements versus Nordine Taleb. Oh, which one should we talk about first? Well, let's talk about Chris Clements. Clements has got to knock you out. He's got to get you in the first round. Otherwise, he's going to gas. He's a strong puncher, big puncher, 39-year-old puncher, and that's pretty much it for him. He's going to either knock you out or he's going to gas and open up the door for you to knock him out. And ultimately, I think that's what will happen. I think Nordine is in the best shape. It's a little cliche, but in the best shape that he's been in the UFC. I think he's very prepared for this fight. I think he will finish it in round 2 by knockout, TKO. Ultimately, though, that's a big price tag on him, so I have a do not bet. If I had to bet it, it would definitely be Taleb. Probably a prop inside the distance, but ultimately it's going to be a pass. Olivier Aubin-Mercier, or however you say his name, against David Michaud. This one, it's really not too difficult to pick a winner here. I wish I could say I saw something in Michaud, but maybe he'll survive to lose a 3-round decision. But I can't lay that price on Olivier. I really can't on Oliver. And so it's going to be a pass. I'm going to say Oliver by decision. Do not bet. I'm not interested in betting this one at all. Let's wait and see what Olivier can do here, and then we'll take it from there. Now this next one, Chad Lepre versus Brian Barberena. Now Chad is a fighter who, how many days ago was it? 5 days ago? A few days ago. I pulled the trigger on him in a parlay because I knew the line would only get worse, and sure enough, it's sitting at over 400 now. I got it at 300, maybe even 290. Chad Lepre by knockout in round 2. I love the way these two guys match up. Brian is too tough for his own good, and I think when he meets a guy like Chad will put his lights out, if not win a 30-27 unanimous decision. So I definitely like Chad here. Definitely like him for the win. Definitely like him by knockout. And he'll be a 4-star pick. Alexis Davis versus Sarah Kaufman in their third battle. Hoo-wee. And I don't think Sarah will get all 3. I think Alexis will win this one. I think Alexis can take her down, control her on the mat, and have her way on the ground. Sarah, I'm not really a big fan, to be honest with you. I'm not... I mean, a fan. I don't mean a fan as far as like, oh yeah, woo, let's root for this fighter. I mean more of a fan of her fight style, her fight game. And although Alexis Davis is coming off a big loss to Ronda Rousey, I think she's gonna find the mojo here to win a decision. So ultimately, as far as the straight bet goes, I'm gonna put Alexis Davis in a small round robin because I think there's enough value, and I think there is enough of a chance for her to win. that I want to put it in a round robin. But as far as a big straight bet, ultimately it's a small bet. Davis by decision. Joe Riggs versus Patrick Cote. How can you back Joe Riggs in this? Do not bet. Joe Riggs, his days his better days as a fighter are gone, and I'm not interested in betting him at all. Just watching his fights, not the same Joe Riggs that was back at UFC 48, UFC 49, right around there. And Patrick Cote, the same thing, UFC 50, UFC 49, 48, one of those, 47. And in the 47 through 49, it's just they're not the same fighters that they were. Although I will say Cote, in my opinion, right now is a little bit of a better fighter. Maybe a little bit more than a bit of a better fighter. I think Cote still has a little bit of life left in there, but you can't trust either one of these guys. I do think ultimately Riggs is going to want to take the fight to the ground. Cote is going to want to keep it on the feet. I think Cote will be able to keep it on the feet, especially with him being in Canada. I think he'll get that extra motivation. So I think he'll win by knockout in round 2. Now, as far as the bet goes, do not bet. Do not bet. All right, here we go. We got the main card. And overall, I would say that the card is pretty nice. I would say, of course, it would be better if it wasn't a pay-per-view, but it's a good little card just overall. Yves Jabouin versus Tomas de Almeida. I think Almeida wins this fight. Do not bet. I would say let's put something on Yves, but I don't trust Yves at this point. So do not bet. I think there's better opportunities here. Tomas, I think that if it goes to the ground, Tomas will be so slick, will be able to escape if Yves gets a takedown, able to escape, perhaps even reverse the position, sinking a choke on the feet. I think Tomas can land on Yves and could possibly knock him out. So, but I think Yves will be game, and I think it'll go to decision. But I think Tomas will get the decision, possibly even like a split decision, and he'll walk away with it. Next one, Shane Campbell versus John Makdessi. We got the battle of the kickboxers here. If it wasn't Shane Campbell's debut, I'd be interested. If Makdessi wasn't fighting, his second opponent, then I'd be interested. But ultimately, I think there's too many variables in this fight. If it becomes a kickboxing match, with it being the catch weight, God knows what can happen. So I think John Makdessi overall, though, is a more well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I think if he wants to take it to the ground, he will be able to. If he wants to keep it on the feet, it should be pretty competitive. I think the edge goes to Shane. But overall, as far as experience goes in the octagon, in the UFC, I think John takes it. And John has a bunch of his teammates fighting on this card. So John Makdessi by decision. That's my pick. As far as the bet goes, do not bet. That's not a good position to bet in. I don't believe so. Michael Bisping versus CB Dollaway. Man. The question is, there's two big question marks here. What CB Dollaway are we going to get? We've seen a good CB Dollaway. We've seen a bad CB Dollaway. We've seen that CB Dollaway gets robbed. Way too many question marks with this guy. In this matchup, of course, he can get the takedown. Or he'll be fighting for the takedown. Can he get it? We'll find out. With Michael Bisping, God knows, a lot of questions with him too. What part of his career is he at right now? The trend that I'm seeing with Bisping is he won't beat the top guys. He will not beat them. But CB Dollaway isn't in the top guys. I think he's more towards the middle of the pack. But then again, how far is Michael Bisping down as his career? Now, obviously, he's in a downward slope. He's not going to hit a new peak. So, too many question marks in this one. Ultimately, it's going to be a pass. So, do not bet. If I had to bet it, it would be Bisping by decision. But ultimately, do not bet. So, my pick will be Bisping by decision. But I'm not interested in betting this one bit, not even 0.01 units. Rampage Jackson making his return to the UFC against Fabio Maldonado. Now, this is a great matchup for Rampage. He's got a guy in Fabio who's going to want to stand, who's going to want to be the alpha male in there with the chin, and I don't think it's gonna work out for Fabio. I really don't. I think Rampage hits as hard as Stipe, and I see the same type of ending. I see Rampage getting a first round knockout, and hopefully he'll do that big howl for us all. And so that'll be a fun fight. But you know, there's always a possibility that Rampage can't catch him, and if he does, that he doesn't put him out, that Fabio survives and takes out Rampage in round 2 or maybe round 3. I do like the under 2.5 at plus money. I do like that, so I'll definitely be betting that. And if I had to bet it, it would be Rampage by knockout round 1. That's my prediction. I would say Rampage inside the distance, Rampage by knockout. I like the under. So that is that. And then, last but not least, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson against Kyoji Horiguchi. Now, Demetrious Johnson, as far as his skills go and what he brings to the octagon, one of my favorite fighters. I mean, very exciting to watch this guy. He never slows down, finishes fights in the 5th round. Kyoji, he has a puncher's chance like Matt Serra did against GSP, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Demetrious Johnson understands the danger of not taking an opponent seriously. Matt Hume is a great trainer, and I think he'll be going in there prepared. I think he'll finish the fight in the 4th or the 5th round by submission. And that wraps up the picks. Demetrious Johnson by submission round 4. Definitely will be betting DJ. I already have bet DJ, and I also like the prop with him inside the distance. So for the MMA DAWGS UFC 186 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star picks. So what I have here for my picks are 5 stars, none unfortunately. 4 stars, two 4-star plays. They're medium to large plays. Chad Lepre and Demetrious Johnson. And 3 stars, there are none. So moving to the bets. My first bet of the night, and this is one I released on 4/20 at 2:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Chad Lepre at minus 290 and Demetrious Johnson at minus 925. That gives me minus 204, 3.10 units to win 1.52 units. So that was a bookmaker.eu. And then for the round robin parlays, those are more conservative. This card is going to be a little bit more conservative because I want to ensure that at the end of the night, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but I want to ensure at the end of the night we are profitable and we don't get caught in any traps, chasing or doing all this crazy stuff. So for the second bet of the night, it's a round robin of 2s, 6 parlays at 0.10 units each, so a tenth of a unit each. Total bet is a little over half a unit, so it's 0.60 units to win 2.50 units. So it would be a great return if 3 or more of these cash out. So Nordine Taleb at minus 240. Demetrious Johnson wins inside the distance at plus 125. The under on Rampage and Maldonado at plus 117. And Ashling Daly at plus 240. So those are all at 5dimes.eu at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today, the 25th. So that covers the first round robin. The second round robin is the same thing, 6 parlays at 0.10 units each. So it's round robins of 2s. Total bet is 0.60 units to win 1.86 units. Rampage Jackson at minus 260. Chad Lepre minus 3.5 points at minus 185. Jessica Rakosi at plus 145 and Alexis Davis at plus 185. Those lines were also at 5dimes.eu tonight at midnight. And so that covers the third bet. Fourth bet, there's a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th bet. These are all props, only at 0.07 units each. So Demetrious Johnson wins by submission at plus 200, 0.07 units to win 0.14 units. Alexis Davis wins by decision at plus 250, 0.07 units to win 0.18 units. Chad Lepre wins by knockout TKO, 0.07 units to win 0.24 units. That's at plus 340. And Davis by decision is plus 250. And then Rampage Jackson wins by knockout TKO, plus 220, 0.07 units to win 0.15 units. Grand total is 4.58 units to win 6.59 units. Whew. All done in 20 minutes. So that wraps up UFC 186. And like I said, very, very, very happy, very beyond happy with the way everything has been going. Very grateful for having clients, for having supporters, and just having a great time with this, especially when you're winning. That's even that much better. So, yep, that wraps it all up. I want to go ahead and send you guys to the website. So it's MMADAWGS.com. There you can find all the numbers, all the stats. I don't want to sit here and pat myself on the back too much. So check that all out. I hope you guys are all doing great. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll talk to you guys all real soon.